Good morning to one and all. I welcome all the participants to this faculty development program for tools to enhance learning and teaching. I welcome our speaker of the day, Professor Dr. I. Saravanan, Material and Surface Engineering Research Faculty, IIT Madras. Today's speaker, Dr. I. Saravanan, did his novel work on development of biocompatible nanocoatings. He is a member of Indian Welding Society and he has authored and co-authored many research articles focusing on friction and wear polymers, metals and ceramic surfaces on composite materials. Today's webinar topic, research scope on materials and manufacturing engineering. I welcome Professor Saravanan sir for today's session. I welcome all the participants. Hope you have a good work. Professor Saravanan sir, so over to you, sir.
Yes. Good morning, one and all. I am Professor Saravanan, Department of Mechanical Engineering, working in materials and surface engineering research. I am doing my research project associate with IIT Madras under the scheme of DST CERN and TARE, Teacher Associateship for Research Excellence. And I thank to Ali Muhammad College management for giving this opportunity to participate in this seminar, to present in this faculty development program. And the research and the topic is research scope in materials and manufacturing engineering. In this seminar, we just going to discuss about what are the general topics, what are the research space is available in materials, engineering materials and manufacturing processes. Almost the things which we are going to discuss, it's known things only, but what are the innovations and the recent trends and the recent advancement is being processed in that research area is today topic. The topics to be covered: composite materials, metal joining technology, surface engineering, tribology, characterization of materials and surface engineering, the recent manufacturing process like additive manufacturing, 3D printing, and carbon reduction in order to increase the energy efficiency, and what is the impact of artificial intelligence in manufacturing process, and the recent industrial revolution of industry 4.0. Just we are going to give some introduction about the industry 4.0. Now we discuss about composite materials. We all well known about this topic. This terminology we often hear. What is composite materials? It is nothing but the two different distinct material with distinct phases. This combined with each other and providing improved, enhanced mechanical and physical and other properties of the new product. Generally, matrix and reinforcement are the two major materials is added with each other, and reinforcement is generally is the hard ceramic material which provides strength to the matrix. This we know, and the types of classification of composite materials is metal matrix composites. We all know aluminum metal matrix composite, magnesium metal composites, and mostly non-ferrous alloy metal matrix composites.
Excuse me, sir, Saravanan sir. Yeah, your voice is low, sir.
Okay.
And you can adjust your display, sir. Your head, yeah.
Okay.
Fine, sir. Thank you.
Now my voice is audible.
Yeah, your voice is audible, sir.
And metal matrix composite, polymer matrix composites, and ceramic matrix composites, and the carbon matrix composites. There are many types of composites out there. Generally, in recent advancement, polymer matrix composites having more attention as a alternate material for metallic matrix composites. And this is the form of the materials, how the reinforcement is added with the matrix. The fibers, whiskers, particulates, and it's based on its dimension and sizes. It is unidirectional, woven, random orientation, and based on the orientation and continuous fiber, discontinuous fibers, many types of reinforcement is added to the matrix. And when we go for polymer matrix composites, for example, which I have currently doing with for bioimplants, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene has been taken as a matrix material. With that, we have added alumina Al2O3 for the strength addition, and calcium phosphate for hydroxyapatite. It is called as calcium phosphate, is used for biomedical applications, which have the good inert material and the ceramic material and having the properties of human bone. And along with that, we added ketosine. Ketosine is a biopolymer, a natural biopolymer. So, why this polymer material has been taken for orthopedical implants? Actually, when we go for revision surgery of hip joint or knee joint, many metal combinations are there. Pairs, that is femoral head and acetabular cup. This is the two mating sliding part for the movement for artificial hip prosthesis. In that, when you add two metal parts when sliding with each other, there is some friction will be more. It is very difficult to function inside the human body, and the density and the weight problem and the debris, which will give problem with the human body. And so that we are going for one metal part, along with that the matching part is one polymer part, so that the friction will be very less, this combination, and the porosity will be
Excuse me,
more.
sir. Saranan, sir, you can keep your microphone nearby your mouth, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And for the tissue growth, the porosity is very important. So that we are going for polymer materials, and polymer composite along with the various reinforcement has been added, which material having good biocompatibility and non-toxic and inert with the human body. So that these type of polymer materials are widely considered and used for orthopedic implants. Nowadays, natural fibers are mostly used for composite materials. In academic research of the engineering institution, they are using banana fiber, sisal fiber, and jute fiber, basalt fiber, Kevlar fiber, and many fibers are used. These materials generally used for domestic applications and some structural applications and wet environment. This is very cheapest and reproducible and waste reusage. That is also having more opportunity to do the research in composites and nano composites. We know that nano materials having the recent technology, it is used here, all the materials, even in surface engineering and coating and alloying, everywhere nano materials are used. Nano composites is nothing but the addition of nanoparticles along with the matrix, which provides a better strength compared to micron level materials. One more thing is we have done irradiation. Irradiation is nothing but one type of sterilization. According to the biomaterials, sterilization is more important because to kill the bacteria and the material, to avoid the infections inside the human body. So dry heat sterilization, stream sterilization, and radiation sterilization, many types of sterilization are being processed in biomedical applications. In that, we have chosen radiation sterilization using gamma rays. We impose the rays into the polymer composites. The composites made up of compression molding, so that it provided a good strength and it created the cross link in between the molecules and particles. This cross links provided more strength, and good biocompatibility also. After the biocompatibility test, we found that in the biocompatibility also has been raised by using the irradiation. So there is a scope for researchers in polymer composites, polymerization. Many improvising techniques are there in polymerization. In that, for biomedical application, one of the opt technique is sterilization. Then this is the XRD and FTIR images of ultra high molecular polyethylene composites, and there is no much difference before and after gamma irradiation in XRD. But when we are going for FTIR, that means spectroscopy, Fourier transfer infrared spectroscopy. In that, it is used to find out the physicochemical properties of the material, so that we can able to find after the irradiation, the cross link has been made and the property has been enhanced. That is the result showing in FTIR results. And this is the top area which what are the scopes are there in composite materials. And we then the next area is metal joining technology. We know that the fusion welding like TIG, MIG, and arc welding is a traditional welding process being used still, and FSW have the more important and having more attention nowadays. Even though FSW is discovered, is came to in practice at 1990s, still it has more applications and good practice due to its metal joining property and the strength of the welding. FSW has several advantages over the commonly used diffusion welding techniques. Following from its relative low process temperature below the melting point, the method is suited for joining thin or difficult to weld materials. With no melting, the cast microstructure formed during conventional fusion welding is avoided, as well as the weld zone shrink from the solidification. FSW joint is created by friction heating with simultaneous severe plastic deformation of the weld zone material. The stirring of the tool minimizes the risk of having excessive local amounts of inclusions, resulting in a homogeneous and void-free weld. Since the amount of heat supplied in is smaller than during fusion welding, heat distortions are reduced and thereby the amount of residual stresses. The deformation control is therefore easier. This is what FSW having the more attention. Mechanical and fatigue properties of the friction stir welds are relatively independent of welding speed in the range of low-high commercial welding speed in this alloy. And extra low speed gave improved properties. These are all the advantages of FSW welding process. Ahmed sir, are you changing the slides? Hello?
Sir, yeah, yes, sir. I'll share
Okay.
this.
Okay. Then the recent review articles published from them elsewhere, microjoining technology. Microjoining technology is a unique challenge. Actually, it is ninth slide, I think. Next. Next. Yeah. Microjoining technology is a unique, challenging technology in modern world. Recently, there is an increasing demand of microjoining technologies for lightweight and size reduction of modern technologies devices. Welding of light and soft material is a unique challenge for modern welding technologies for producing small parts. FSW provided as an ideal process for producing low-cost part and high-performance joint is in the assemblies. In microjoining technology, only few research article has been published as per the author information. Moreover, FSW is considered as a green technology of welding as it requires low energy consumption and there is no gas emission at the time of welding. This is the one of the major advantage of micro joining technology, and I would like to say what is the scope in this area. See, the comparison between the FSW and uh, micro joining technology. In this, there is a research gap compared to that traditional FSW. There are a CFD simulation of FSW and numerical analysis and FSW tool and development, optimization of FSW parameters. These are all the research gap and technological gap still available in micro FSW. Researchers, those who are interested to work in metal joining technology, they can consider what is micro FSW and they can proceed. And this is the schematic setup of micro FSW. It is similar to friction stir welding process only. And the technical gap is identified by the author. Optimization for welding parameters which play the key role in the process. That is rotational speed of tool, transfer speed of the tools, axial force, tool inclined angle or tilt angle are also very important to provide a good weld. Further work needs to define the joining of dissimilar materials for optimized mechanical properties. You can find this is the research gap. Finally, FSW2, especially pin up to this time, is the main issue. The design of pin and shape of the pin, and there are many parameters available uh, in pin designs. So, researchers can focus the micro FSW and tool design. And the recent next slide, sir, Ahmed sir. Next. CMT. This is often in recent days we hear this terminology, cold metal transfer. It is in initial stage of research for the researchers only some restrictions because of the manufacturer. The cold metal transfer is a welding method that is usually performed by a welding robot. The CMT machine detects a short circuit which sends a signal that retracts the welding pillar material, giving the weld time to cool before each drop is placed. It is the advanced technology and of the recent metal joining process. And the interesting area is next slide, sir. Surface engineering. Surface engineering is the very wide research area in mechanical engineers and material engineers and all the science researchers. Surface engineering is required to enhance the surface properties of the particular material without affecting the bulk material. That is the main key process of the surface engineering. It is a multidisciplinary activities tailoring the surface properties of engineering components so that their function and serviceability can be improved. The treatment of surface and near surface regions of the material to allow the surface to perform functions that are distinct from those functions demanded from the bulk of the material. So this is the definition for surface engineering. What are the advantages of surface engineering? Improved corrosion and oxidation resistance, improved wear resistance, reduced frictional energy loss, improved mechanical properties, improved electronic or electrical properties, improved thermal insulations, improved aesthetic properties and physical properties, morphology, topography, surface roughness, and it has the there are different layers. The first layer is atmospheric layer, and that is called as contamination layer. The next is coating layer, and third one is coating interface. Fourth one is modified bulk material and interface. Fifth one is bulk material. Surface modification. When we talk about the surface engineering, automatically next. automatically we have to discuss in behind the terminology is called as surface modification. Surface modification describes the mechanism involved in the material surface and significant role in improving the microstructure, surface morphology, topography, hardness, fatigue life strength, and resistance to wear and corrosion. Surface treatment of biomaterials offer the ability to improve the material and biological results. It is particularly for biomaterials by modifying or converting the surface morphology, topography, and mechanical properties. The surface modification of a material can be done by dry or wet process. The process as follows. This is nothing but the coating and deposition. Based on the major classification, we can classify into dry process and wet process. Wet process is nothing but immersion process, like chemical coating, electrochemical coating, electroplating, and electroless coating, dip coating. These are all comes under wet type of deposition. To go for dry deposition, PVD, physical vapor deposition, and chemical vapor deposition. In PVD, there are many coating techniques are available. Based on the applications, the coating material, and the coating process, and the coating techniques has been chosen. This is the surface. What is the surface modification techniques? That is coating deposition and the spray coatings and laser processing, friction stir processing, and ion implantation are the surface modification techniques. The process like chemical vapor deposition, physical vapor deposition, under physical vapor deposition, magneton sputtering, which is used for normally thin films, and arc deposition, cathodic arc deposition, which is used for hard nitrate coatings, carbide coating, oxide coatings, and the dense coating, and it is very good for adhesion. It is used for wear and frictional applications, pulsed laser deposition, and metal oxide chemical vapor deposition, pulsed enhanced chemical vapor deposition, electroless coating, electroplating, next, and thermal spray coating. These are all the surface modification techniques and process. All the process are not common for all the coating process. Some type of coating used for in all the coatings there is nanoparticles is included, and nano coatings also can be carried out using these techniques. Which is the appropriate material and what is the actual requirement for the particular application? Based on that, the deposition and coatings has been chosen by the researchers that we can discuss in later. That is the research gap for the researchers. What type of coating for hard coating, for thin coating, for hard dense coating, for corrosion resistance coating, and erosive resistant coating, and friction anti-friction coating. Based on the application, we have to choose the material, and we have to optimize the process parameters, and we have to control the thickness of the coating by using the process parameters. Agamat sir, visible இருக்கா பாருங்க கொஞ்சம். Hello?
Sir, visible, sir.
Okay. Then it is a type of cathodic arc deposition samples. This is SS316L, generally used for stainless steel. SS316 generally used for biomedical applications, and the right side the image is titanium nitride, the gold color one. Titanium nitride coated. Face audible இல்லன்னு நினைக்கிறேன் சகமா சார், கொஞ்சம் பாத்துக்கோங்க. Titanium
sir.
Okay sir. The titanium nitride coating has been deposited by using cathodic arc deposition. This is around 8 micron thickness for wear resistance coatings. It is the adhesion strength is very good, and the hardness of the coating is around 1800 Vickers hardness. That is generally stainless steel hardness, micro hardness of the stainless steel is around 230 Vickers hardness number. After the coating, around 8 times it has been improved, and surface roughness also in microns level, and it was improved surface roughness. And this is from our research work. We have chosen titanium nitrate coated stainless steel against some polymer ultra high molecular weight polyethylene polymer composites. The morphological changes after the worn surface, after the wear test, the worn surface, we can able to find the debris and ploughing and the polymer composite having some flashes. This is the defects of surface at the time of wear test. The input parameters for the wear test is 2 Newton, 4 Newton, and 6 Newton, and the corresponding sliding speed is 0.25, 0.5, 0.75 meter per second, and the distance is 500, 1000, and 1500 meters. Then what are the recent advances in tribology? From the review paper, it has been found that research activities in the field of tribology have grown rapidly in terms of both scope and depth. As a result, publications of the experimental and theoretical research work have increased enormously in a variety of academic journals covering physics, chemistry, surface science, nanotechnology, material science and engineering, biomedical engineering, as well as mechanical and manufacturing engineering. Based on the publications of this area, we can able to find out that many research has been widely going in practice in global environment, research environment. To provide a survey of the advances of tribology research, this review paper highlights the development in lubrication, wear, surface engineering, biotribology, high temperature tribology, and computational tribology based on the journal paper published. But the main recent advancement in tribology is super lubricity. It is the fastest developing field in tribology in recent years. It will be an important milestone in technology development. It not only reduces the friction. Generally, the lubricant is used to reduce the friction and in order to reduce the wear, and it not only reduces the friction coefficient by several orders of magnitude, but also reduces the wear and friction induced noise greatly. This is the super lubricity applications. The solid super lubricity is performed by diamond-like carbon coatings. It's a very hard coatings, and it acts as a self-lubricant of material. It is used for cutting tool applications majorly. Liquid super lubricity is made up of pure water, brine acids, and acid to acid, alcohol system, and bioliquids, oil-based system, and surfactants. Wear and surface engineering and wear mechanism, modeling, monitoring. These are all the keywords of tribology and wear. Wear mechanism. What is the need of finding the wear mechanism and what are all the wear mechanism? We know that adhesive, abrasive, erosive, corrosive, and fretting wear. There are many number of wear mechanism will be involved at the time of contact takes place, whether the contact is rolling contact or sliding contact or whatever it is in between the contact material based on the heat production and applied load and sliding velocity, as well as temperature influence. The combination of wear mechanism will be often changed one to another, and the third particle influence, that is third body wear, also initiate some ploughing and delamination. Like that, wear defects will be occurred at the time of sliding is take place in between the two contact bodies. And wear modeling, wear monitoring, and debris analysis. Debris analysis is the one of the most required analysis to find out the wear mechanism and how to control the debris sizes and what are the predictions we can made over the surface of the material by the suitable modification techniques or process. and surface coating and modifications, hard coatings, chemical coatings, electrochemical coatings, polymer coatings. These are all the research scope for the surface coatings and surface deposition and surface modification engineering. Then the important thing is biotribology. Biotribology is nothing but where the wear and friction, that is tribomechanism. Tribomechanism is happening at the biological situations and the environments. It is called biotribology. It is one of the most widely used and extensive research areas in tribology. In bioenvironment, in biomedical science, there is dentistry and skin tribology and orthopedic implants. These are all the major research area of the biotribology. In that, artificial replacement itself, the previous artificial replacement having 28% of the research papers published and for recent years, and oral area and biomaterial and biolubricant, skin dermatology and animal biotribology. These are all the research areas based on the tribology in bioenvironment. And biomaterials. Before going for biotribology, we have to find out what is biomaterials, what are the materials are used for biomaterials, why it is used. The basic requirement, the basic need, the basic property of the material, it should possess biocompatibility. What is biocompatibility? Which are the material is able to withstand inside the human body without toxic or without giving disturbance to the surrounding tissues, and which is helps to tissue growth of the inside the human body, and which is can be able to function surrounding with the human body fluid. That is called biomaterials. The biomaterials can be classified from metals, ceramics, and polymers and composites. Nowadays, the combination of materials are also having better attention to make the alternate material for the existing one. In this, ultra high molecular polyethylene and PMMA, PTFE, these are all the polyethylene materials. Hydroxyapatite, it is nothing but the calcium phosphate. It has the similar properties like cortical bone and bioglass, zirconia, alumina. In alumina, it is not commonly used because the detached particle or debris will will create the problem of the human body. And come to metals, titanium alloy having the extensive it is a material having the good attention due to its biocompatible nature as well as the mechanical properties. It is titanium 6Al4 vanadium is mostly used. It's a biogradable material. And cobalt chrome alloy, recently we are doing research in cobalt chrome alloy, even though many research has been accomplished as considered as biomaterials in cobalt chrome alloy also. But we are doing some modification in that cobalt chromium alloy along with the some mating material, the combination of material for hip joints. We are doing some modification and surface treatment and coating, different coatings, and using additive manufacturing. We plan to bring some, that is our research work associated with IIT now. And stainless steel, this is osmotic stainless steel 316, low carbon 316L is majorly used stainless steel material for biocompatibility, for biomaterial, for orthopedic implants especially. And the mechanical properties and bio properties must be known for the researchers before doing this biotribology or bio research, bio-based research. And this is the tensile strength. Compared to the cortical bone, the tensile strength is similar ultra high molecular polyethylene, somewhat related to others. For example, cobalt chromoly it is 1085, in cortical bone it is only 133 MPa. So that titanium alloy also having somewhat 300, almost double the time of cortical bone. So it is considered as a good material instead of human bone. And this is the density of the material. These are all the density, tensile property, and mechanical properties, and hardness, and surface property, and biocompatibility are to be considered to become a good biomaterials. And surface modification due to contact, the wear and friction, we can control by doing the surface modification. But the bulk material property is very essential. So that we have to find the material which possesses the good bio property, biocompatibility and hemocompatibility. These are all some schematic example for hip and knee joints. Here the femoral head and the articular surface and the acetabular cup, these both are, if it is a similar like titanium nitride coated or aluminum titanium nitride coated or any ceramic nitride coated in terms of increasing the hardness and softness, but if both the materials are contact material as if ceramic. Sir, next slide. If ceramic, Ahmed sir. Hello. Ahmed sir.
Yeah, change it, sir. Change it.
Okay. Here, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene is having the more vital role as a femoral head to reduce the friction while contact with metal or ceramic surfaces. In hip and knee joints, there are more research gap and more research scope in this area. We can go for surface modification techniques and go for some biomaterial, alternate biomaterials, and ion implantation and multi-layer coatings, and they are using various nano coatings. Many, for example, irradiation for cross-link, improving the strength of the material, polymer material. So it has wide space to do further research, and globally it has more opportunities to do the research. And high temperature tribology, where the high temperature environment, in the high temperature environment, where the friction and wear takes place, how to control and what's the mechanism is going on there, and the techniques to control the wear mechanism is deals with high temperature tribology. There are several applications such as automotive, aerospace, power generation, and metal working process in which interaction of two contact solid surfaces occur at high temperature because of the inherent prevalence of high temperature. What are all the factors involved in this? Adhesion, abrasion is the mechanism. Microstructure changes and thermal softening, thermal fatigue, and diffusion, oxidation, heat conduction. These are all the factors produced at the time of hot environment. So to analyze and control the friction at the high temperature environment, this high temperature tribology is used. And then high temperature tribology, friction and wear at high temperature, control friction and wear at high temperature, coatings for wear controllers. These are all the objectives and how to implement these things to control the wear in high temperature environment. And simulation in tribology, to find out the theoretical studies and analysis, numerical simulation of fluid lubrication. The best example is hydrodynamic and electrohydrodynamic lubrication, computer simulations in tribology, simulations in contact mechanics, numerical simulation of wear computation in nanotribology. These are all needed for theoretical predictions, theoretical calculations, and to the experimental with compared to this theoretical analysis, and to find out the parameters of wear studies and wear mapping. Wear mapping is used to find out the quantitative and the qualitative result of wear and friction in between the two input parameters, that is testing parameters. In that we can find out how much quantity and what is the severe and what is the mild defects has been produced at the time of friction and wear takes place in between two contact bodies, even in wet condition or dry condition, and also in high temperature applications. And we can go for important topic is characterization. This is common for all the topics which we have covered earlier. The scanning electron microscopy is used to find out the morphology of the surface in detail. Compared to microstructure, scanning electron microscope is the advanced and high magnified analyzing techniques and studying technique. Scanning electron microscopy is a powerful tool for examining the interpreting microstructure of the materials and is widely used field of material science. The principle of based on the interaction of an incident electron beam and the solid specimens. The surface morphology of the prepared samples and the elemental compositions can be able to find out by using EDAX electron spectroscopy. For example, in one surface analysis of wear test, it is very essential to find out the wear mechanism and what are the materials transferred in between the two contact bodies, which is the soft material and which is hard material, and what is the third body wear happened. These are all will be find out based on the scanning electron microscopy morphology images. Then XRD, it is X-ray diffraction, primarily used to identify the crystalline of the material, the crystalline nature and the crystalline information about the material in different polymeric forms, distinguish the amorphous and the crystalline material to find out whether it is amorphous or crystalline or polycrystalline or monocrystalline. XRD analysis based on the constructive interference of the monochromatic X-rays and the crystallines. This is also one of the high precision equipment to find out the material, and we can find the crystal size and also residual stress can be calculated by using this XRD. It is very essential for researchers, those who are working in materials. And we already discussed about spectroscopy. It is used to find out the physicochemical properties of the materials. And there are many types of spectroscopies: Raman, IR, FTIR, and UV spectra, ultraviolet ray spectroscopy. Many spectroscopies is there in find out the physicochemical properties of the material. And atomic force microscopy is the used to find out the surface roughness in three-dimensional view in nano level. Atomic force microscopy is arguably the most versatile and powerful microscopic technology for studying the samples at nanoscale. It is versatile because the atomic force microscope cannot only image the three-dimensional topography, but it also provides the various types of surface measurements to characterize the surface properties. And the average surface RA can be find out by using this. It is a powerful because of AFM can generate images at atomic resolution with angstrom scale resolution height information with the minimum sample preparation. For coatings, for nano coatings, for multi-layer coatings, it is very essential to find out the AFM results, the surface roughness playing the major role in friction and tribology. And this is entirely different area of energy efficiency. In worldwide, many funding agencies are providing funding for these applications. There are three verticals are being in practice now. It is low carbon innovation under pumps. We know many pumps are used for fluid applications, for agriculture application, for domestic application, industrial applications. And many applications and reservoirs and what are the research scopes are there in pumps in terms of energy efficiency, how to increase the lifetime and how to decrease the energy consumption and how to increase the output by modifying the design improvements of the parts of the pumps. For example, the centrifugal submersible pump is mainly used for agriculture purposes. This is our research area. Currently, we are working in this emerging and novel technology application that improve efficiency, improvement in material of construction. That is also important. For example, impellers and diffusers. There they are using before bronze, after that stainless steel. Now they are using stainless steel and polymer plastic impellers also there, and cast iron also is there, and the materials also important. In research scope, materials can be changed, materials can be comes under research and design analysis of the shape of the impeller and diffuser, which provide more volume of fluid pumping out and controlling various forces acting in the fluid flow, and the surface modification is very essential. Hard coating is very essential, and we have to find the appropriate coating at wet condition, because the bore wells, the pumps will be immersed in the under the bores under the land. And the more important thing is, all the pumps will not be suitable for all the places. For example, in India there are different types of soils and sands and beds are there, river beds and mountain and rock beds, and many beds are there. So based on the soil quality and water quality, contamination of water and chemical consumed of water and purity of water, we have to choose the appropriate material, appropriate pumps. We have to choose to improve the efficiency and to function in proper way. And innovation in application of information and communication technology, demonstrating precision in controlling water delivery and maintain optimum efficiency level to overall pumping system and efficiency improvements and design improvements. We can use SolidWorks, ANSYS, and optimization and this analyzing software and design software, and many software can be used for theoretical calculation, and thereby we can do for further developments and design and material changes and surface improvements. And this is the pumps we have taken from nearby Kanchipuram district. It is 3 years old working pump, agriculture purposes. It is centrifugal submersible pump. It is borewell pump, and you can see the parts has been damaged due to working under the water and wet condition. We have to, generally farmers will clean it and they will put some oil and they will do some enamel using brush, and they will again assemble it and they will use for next 1 or 2 years. This is the difficulty. This is called multi-stages pumps. That is 6 impellers and 6 diffusers. More than one impeller means that is single stage. 2 diffuser means 2 impeller means 2 stage pumps, and up to 12 and 15 based on the requirements. The stages will be increased, but how the efficiency is increased based on the stages, or single stage pump will provide more efficiency and multi-stages pump will provide more efficiency. Still there is some controversy. Researchers are doing research in that area. And here surface modification and material transfer, alternate material and design aspects. In design aspects there are more much research gap is there. This is the one of the example of centrifugal, this one submersible pump, but dynamic pump and positive displacement pump. We have n number of pumps, vane pumps and jet pumps and domestic usage pumps. There are n number of pumps. By improving their efficiency by the suitable design changes and appropriate material selections, we can greatly reduce the energy consumption. And this is the most wide area in global research. And next one is, this is the shaft and waste heat recovery. This is also research for thermal and energy based department students and researchers can go for these types of objective. Waste heat recovery technology innovations across all industry sector. There is no limitations in every industries. You can optimize the waste heat recovery and you can give some solutions for improve the energy savings. These innovations shall be deployed to address technology gaps and improve overall energy efficiency in industries and commercial operation for the following areas. That is, high temperature is around above 600 degree and above, and the medium temperature range 600 to 150 and low temperature range below 150 degree. Researchers can work for these industries, this energy savings and energy efficiency research areas, and they can give some good suggestion based on this research input data. And space conditioning, this is also one of the interesting and very popular and emerging research in the global scenario. Space conditioning, refrigeration and cold chain to identify the promising innovations which can be deployed to address technology gaps and or reduce the energy consumption. This is the objective. Innovative and new active passive cooling technologies including hybrid design in evaporate cooling, vapor compression, solid state cooling applications and green refrigerants and innovation demonstrating technological innovations, reducing refrigerant and use of environment friendly refrigerants, energy savings and applications of refrigeration technologies for domestic, commercial, industrial applications. Here, phase change materials are generally used. You have to choose the proper phase change material. What is phase change material? The definition of phase change material is, the phase change material is a substance which is releases and absorbs sufficient energy at phase transition to provide useful heating and cooling. By melting and solidifying the phase change temperature, a PCM is capable of storing and releasing the large amount of energy compared to the sensible heat storage, so that you can find out the proper phase change material for these appropriate applications. And then these are all the three areas for energy savings and energy efficiency. Then we know that next research area is additive manufacturing, that is called 3D printing. It's a method of manufacturing where layers of material are built up to create a solid object or some specific object, some equipment parts and critical parts and complicated parts. We can able to find out. We can able to manufacture using additive manufacturing. The 7 process basically involved in additive manufacturing process, that is photopolymerization, material jetting, binder jetting, material extrusion, powder bed fusion, sheet lamination, and direct energy deposition. In these also many research scopes are there. And what is the demerits and what is the research gap from this in this additive manufacturing process? Professor S.A. Jauda in recent 2020 has concluded that metal AM parts usually, that means additive manufacturing metal parts usually go through complex cyclic thermal history consisting of directional heat extraction, repeated melting and rapid solidification. It creates anisotropic and heterogeneous microstructure in metal parts, that is additive manufactured metal parts. A high level of residual stress and metallurgical defects such as balling, pores and cracks commonly occur in this type of fabricated aluminum alloys, which not only reduces the surface roughness and dimensional accuracy, but also results the poor mechanical properties of the components. However, understanding of the formation of mechanism of above defects is incomplete. So how to improve the surface roughness and how to overcome the defects is still having the challenge for the researchers. Then in additive manufacturing, you can focus these types of research gap and you can proceed further. And the final one is Industry 4.0. This is the recent terminology, and we are going to follow and proceed this technology Industry 4.0 for upcoming 2-3 decades. Already many industries has been modified for Industry 4.0. It is the recent terminology we often hear in viral. The concept of Industry 4.0 was first introduced in 2011 to enhance the competitiveness and efficiency in manufacturing industries. There is better connectivity in the system using different sensors, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and their innovative technologies. In production lines, these technologies are used to provide appropriate information and decision during the complexity. This revolution enhances the smart factory and smart manufacturing system to manufacture any customized products. Industry 4.0 creates interconnected advanced manufacturing and information system which can adequately communicate, analyze, and provide useful information in the physical world. There are self-monitoring and flexibility in the manufacturing system to perform the required customized task. And to understand easily what is Industry 4.0, we can find from this image. That is, industrial revolution is traditional the introduction of machine in around 5 to 10 decades earlier. Introduction of machines. When the machines came to manufacturing process, that is industrial revolution 1.0, and the industry with mass production started is industrial revolution 2, and digital system like CNC operations and automations is industrial revolution 3. Now customization and intelligent production using artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. This Industry 4.0 is the recent revolution in the manufacturing field, and there also many research gap and many research scopes are available. Researchers can follow this. And what are the benefits of Industry 4.0 for biomedical applications? Mohan Javid Abid Halim in recently published the article. In that, he concluded the benefits, that is interconnection, deal with complexity, orthopedic research for biomedical applications, teaching and learning, create automation, enhanced productivity, provide connected information to the quality of treatment, maximum patient outcome, and real-time data. These are all the Industry 4.0 implemented in the biomedical applications and biomedical industry. And these are what are the technologies? There are number of technologies used in Industries 4.0, that is big data, machine learning, cloud computing, advanced robotics, Internet of Things, cyber physical systems, artificial things, video streaming, cyber security, 3D printing, wireless brain sensors, nanomedicines. There are more scopes to do research in these technologies. And what are the advancement of Industry 4.0? That is customized treatment, real-time information, digitization, intelligence in manufacturing, planning and decision making, transparency, health monitoring, risk management, and so on. And very interesting, we are suffered by quarantine, and Corona is the pandemic for worldwide. In this time, The researcher, his name is Mohammad Javid, who has published the paper 2020 in this year publications. He discussed about and how to control the corona by using 4.0. He published a paper in the Journal of Diabetes Metabolic Syndrome Clinical Research and Reviews. Hope it will be useful for the human society, for us, how we are suffering this virus. By this virus, he stated that technologies employed in the industry 4.0 can help in proper isolation of the infected patient, thereby reducing spread of disease. For isolation first. Second, he is saying these digital technologies create virtual clinic through the application of telemedicine consultation, which reduces the physical crowding of the patients in the hospitals and clinics. That is, he is saying about big data and then Internet of Things applications. And then he is saying that the available technology of Industry 4.0 could also help detection of diagnosis of COVID-19 virus and other related problems and symptoms. And Industry 4.0 provides an automated solution for various manufacturing challenges and can fulfill the customized requirements of face masks for which we are more suffering due to insufficient of face masks. He is providing ideas and gloves also. And the significant benefits of Industry 4.0 technologies for COVID. He stated that some benefits from his research article: planning of activities regarding COVID-19, providing a better experience without imposing the risk to healthcare and other workers; manufacturing precautionary items related to the virus; provide medical part in time using smart supply chain. He is bringing out all the technologies involved in this 4.0 for this present situation, pandemic situation also. It's a very good attempt. Used virtual reality for training purpose, promote a flexible working environment of treatment. It is a good example how to focus and how to make objective for the further research in 4.0, because the researcher is doing the research in the current issue. He involved 4.0 in the current issue, even it is a biomedical also. He is providing some solutions so that mechanical engineers and material engineers can utilize this 4.0 and they can go through the concept and we can do some innovations and good research in future. And up to this, I complete my seminar, and I hope that these are all the, even it is a known area and some of the, sir, next slide.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute, sir.
And some of the improvising and recent advancement we could discuss. We discussed now. It will be useful for you to use like a keywords to do further research works. Thank you for all, and I would like to introduce our research academy, which is Matters Research Academy. We are doing research activities in mechanical and material research, academic and industrial research solutions. Next, sir. And these are all the research area we are doing consultancy, and we are associated with the institutions, and the process testings we are doing: casting, metal joining, and composites, mechanical properties testing, physical properties and thermal properties, surface properties, chemical properties testing, heat treatment, cold working, deposition process, and doing all types of testing and characterization. And our research group is now proudly, I would like to proudly say that we are entering in the publication field. Sir, next, publication field. Yeah. We are conducting the international conference on advanced material behavior and characterization. It is going to be held on 18th to 19th, 2020. And based all in the scope of the conference is engineering materials, chemical materials, biomaterial, physical materials, and all the materials based on its characterization. Sir, before Pona, previous. And now the research papers are abstract and full papers can be submitted till June 18, 19, June 15, and the plagiarism of Turnitin is essential. If the access is available of you, if you have the access to do that Turnitin plagiarism checkup, the 15% of plagiarism papers are welcome, and we are publishing the conference proceedings in Scopus indexed elsewhere journal, Materials Today Proceedings, and IOP Materials Science and Engineering. And this is our research innovations and our research activities and publication activities and consultancy works and for the materials and mechanical and manufacturing researchers. Up to this, I complete my presentation. I thank you for all the participants and those who are be patient and attend this conference. All the best. Thank you. Now you can raise the questions if any questions you please ask me, sir.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, your presentation is very informative in the scope of material research. So there is one question from the participants that they wanted to know what are the skills that has been required by a student to work on Industry 4.0.
Okay, skills.
Yes, sir.
He should be aware about the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, the basic knowledge of the software tools. That is the essential thing. Along with the manufacturing production knowledge and along with the materials knowledge, materials properties, he should be aware with the Internet of Things.
Okay,
yes.
Sir, okay.
Yes.
Sir, in one more question, in FTIR, in which wavelength we can get highest peak and what is its range?
It depends on the material. We cannot say like that. For each and every material, the wavelength will be vary. It has to be based on the material.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is the scope of simulation in materials research, sir?
Simulation, it is the theoretical analysis, how we are predicted. The experimental, it is used to comparative analysis for which we are doing and how to find out the process parameters. Simulation is a useful tool for prediction to predict the process parameters and the output efficiency.
Yes. Thank you, sir. It's very interesting. Your presentation is very interesting and crisp. Thank you very much, sir.
If any further questions, please mail me, sir.
Yes, sir, sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all the participants. And thank you for Ali Muhammad College and given this good opportunity for me. Thank you.
A student of Alam Mohammed Polytechnic College in the Department of Computer Science Engineering. In this college, we have a good infrastructure, good teaching staffs, canteen facilities separate for girls and separate for boys, which provides hygienic and pure food.
faculty members always motivate our students to enhance their technical skills and make them industry ready and fit for the society.
நம்ம வாழ்க்கை எப்படின்னு நீங்களே முடிவு. ஆனால் இந்த காலேஜ் ஏன் நல்லா இருக்கு, கேம்பஸ் நல்லா இருக்கு, அழகா இருக்கு, சூப்பரா இருக்கு.
இந்த பாலிடெக்னிக்கை தேர்ந்தெடுப்பதன் மூலமாக அவர்கள் மிகச் சிறப்பான உன்னத நிலைக்கு செல்ல முடியும். வேலை இல்லாமல் எமது கல்லூரியிலிருந்து செல்ல முடியாது என்ற லெவலுக்கு நாங்கள் எங்களுடைய பிளேஸ்மெண்ட்டை பாலிடெக்னிக் பட்டயப்படிப்பு பொறுத்தவரை நாங்கள் வைத்திருக்கின்றோம்.